All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JD Photo Podcast. So today I have Antonio Pics. I'm so excited to have Antonio on the podcast. I've been following Antonio for quite a while now. He does wedding photography and he's also a photography educator. So he does a lot of great stuff, giving back to the community and also producing really awesome work for his couples over on the East Coast. You're up on the north side of the East Coast, right?
I'm on the middle of the East Coast in Brisbane.
Brisbane, nice, yeah, beautiful. I've visited some of Queensland, but not Brisbane actually. I really want to go back and travel more off the north side of kind of this east side of Australia.
Brisbane's kind of mundane. I'd go to the Sunshine
Mundane,
Coast or
Perth's
maybe
mundane.
maybe I don't know. I feel like Sunshine Coast is good. Gold Coast is overrated though. Oh man, Gold Coast is
Mm.
like I don't know if you or anyone who's watching has been to Fortitude Valley, but the Gold Coast is like Fortitude Valley but with more sand, which means it's not good.
The Gold Coast I've been actually, and it was like it was like a city on the ocean. It was pretty
It
insane. It's
is.
pretty insane to see,
It
to be
is.
honest.
It looks nice. At nighttime
Yeah.
it's weird
Look,
though.
I'm more of a fan of a kind of a nature reserve, to be honest. I'm a Perth guy. We're from kind of the smaller part of Australia, where we're more on the outback side. But anyway, let's get into photography, man. So yeah, any
I
viewers in
think
there at the moment?
your mouse is on my face in the video.
Ah, mate, good one, picked up. Awesome, awesome.
I was like, is that on my screen? Is that a
Expand.
dot
Yeah,
on my
no,
screen?
no,
And I was like, what's on me?
no.
No.
So, guys, today we're just going to go into various topics on photography. We're going to kind of just have fun with it. But if anyone's in there at the moment, I'm not sure if there is because unfortunately I can't see, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we'll love to answer any questions on photography and videography. So keep those in the back of your mind, and yeah, we'll dive into it. So, Antonio, you're primarily a wedding photographer, right?
Yes, I am primarily a wedding photographer. I
Awesome.
It depends what someone's offering me. I could do some other stuff, but generally I only accept weddings and couples and engagements, and engagement parties are probably the scope of what I
Mm.
do. With the occasional event, if like a friend of a friend wants me to do something, I might go to do some event coverage. That's about it.
Cool, man.
And content
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that's really similar to what I do. So yeah, I'm primarily a wedding photographer and videographer. I'm more on the photography side, but yeah, definitely was in videography early on, but kind of circled back later on in my
Mm.
career. But yeah, the event side, I do a bit there as well. Events are fun. I quite like events actually compared to a wedding. How do you find it?
I find it depends on the event. Like if it's a corporate event and your client might be the person organizing the event, they always want you to get photos of everybody there, but no one there. Well, oftentimes the corporate events I've done, no one really wants to have photos taken. They're
Yeah,
just there because it's like a work event and they're
correct.
kind of
Yep.
indifferent.
Yep.
I don't really like the vibe as much, at least from the events that I've done. I have done some that are good or better, or unique or interesting. But I find the majority of the events that I've done are very much. I'll just I feel like I'm standing there pressing a button because people don't
You're
really
straight on
care.
the
They no one really cares about the
you're
photos
straight
as
on it.
much as
Yeah.
what I've found.
No, completely agree, man. And that's kind of why I kind of diverted into weddings. So I started off in corporate event photography, and that's what I did as my bread and butter for a long time. It's really good industry to make a living off and stuff. But yeah, it just lacks a bit of that artistic kind of itch,
Mm.
And I'm a creative, that's kind of how I got into the industry. I was very creative early on, so I don't really want to be just doing work photography and wedding photography kind of combined, the work side with the passion side because you get to, touch pretty much every type of photography throughout the day. You do your portraits, you do your flat lays, you do your candid documentary style photography, and yeah, you're just able to produce really nice and meaningful portraits as well. Things that are going to last a lifetime. So yeah, that's kind of why I
Yeah. It's
moved
always
into
different
weddings.
people, different places, different looks. I mean,
Yeah,
not for every photographer you get different weddings because some photographers just focus on like one style of wedding.
yeah.
But
How do you
I
feel
love
about
the
that?
really colorful weddings I'm seeing lately with like all the spring colors. The bouquets are like cool colors and stuff like that. The bridesmaids and the groomsmen all have like slightly different colors on. I
Yeah.
really like that look. It's
I,
nice.
I like that look as well. The bit of the change in color, so you have different tones and stuff. And much, yeah, I really like it. We're actually doing that for our wedding as well, so that's really cool.
It's good. I'm
Yeah,
proud of you.
yeah. Thank you, mate. Following the trends, eh? Yeah. How do you feel about that, man? So yeah, there are a lot of Oh, I actually missed what you said before about let's move on. Oh my god. So during a wedding day, man. Like how many photos are you generally taking? Like, what's that range looking like for you?
So when I first started doing weddings, I'd take like way too many. I reckon more than I needed, more than was practical. to the point where it would maybe be, I'd say, for a 10-hour wedding day, it would be like 10,000 photos, which was too much. That's too much. And then I'd go down to maybe 8,000-ish, 7,000, 5,000. At the moment, I'm kind of sitting around, I'd say between 4,000 and 6,000, depending on the wedding. If it's a full day wedding with first looks and like a sparkler exit and a first dance and like some crazy games or something, or like the family photos to the music in the time limit, there'll be way more photos. Whereas if it's like an elopement and it's like just preparation ceremony and then like they have dinner, there might be 500 photos in total. Well, after it's edited, I'd say maybe 2,000 before editing and culling. But at the moment, I'd say for your standard wedding, I'd take about 5,000 photos. If I've taken less than 4,000, I'm a bit like, might could be a little more, but I think 5,000 is good for me. It's
I'm
enough to edit with. It's
I'm pretty
enough to
much in the
get
same
extras
range, man.
with.
I'm pretty much in the
About
exact
the
same
same
range.
range.
Yeah, no, pretty much spot on actually. So 10,000 is the max I'll take. Like I don't really go
Yeah,
above that.
I
So
don't think I've done more than that.
no, I don't think I've done more than that. Maybe, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think that's like the general max. But my range is around that, like 5 to 8,000 usually for a 8 to 10 hour day, depending on how much is happening. Yeah, like you said,
Yeah, exactly.
weddings are very moment dependent, aren't they? So it really
Yeah.
depends on what's going on and what's
It also
happening.
depends what the client has asked for as well. If
Yeah,
like
that's a big
sometimes
one.
I'll
Yeah.
offer slightly lower prices if they don't want as many photos. So I generally say that my packages have like between like 700 and 900 photos is kind of what you'd expect from your standard wedding that the
Hmm.
client will receive.
Hmm.
But if they say to me like they don't really feel like getting 900 photos, they might only want 500 and they wanted it to be a little more curated. I sort of take it a bit easier. I'm a little less spammy on the shutter, and I'll
Hmm.
just kind of take photos of things that I think are moments that are good that shouldn't be missed. And I
Hmm.
won't really get as many duplicates, and I won't deliver or edit as many duplicates. When I say duplicates, I just mean like similar photos, not full-on duplicates. And something I found that I actually really like doing is I would previously have a really good photo and I would deliver it in color and then I would also deliver it in black and white. But something I do lately is if there's a photo that I think is really good and I want it to be in black and white, there'll usually be a photo just before it or just after it that's almost identical but not quite. And I'll actually put that photo in black and white. The client may not be able to tell the difference between the two unless they compared them like as an overlay. But it just makes me feel like I'm not delivering the exact same photo in black and white or in color when it could be one or the other. I have had clients request photos that I delivered them in black and white. They've requested them to be in color.
In color, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've been like, yeah, sure thing. Go in, change it back to color, re-upload that extra photo to the gallery. So I always find that if I do have a photo in black and white, I should always deliver it in color. I
Hmm.
feel like I'm going a little bit off topic of how many photos
I
is too much or too little, but
No, man, let's keep it going. It's a podcast. That's what we're doing. We're rambling
yeah,
nonsense, right? No, we're providing
exactly.
education
No,
and having a
I
conversation at the
also
same time.
find, as I was saying, it
It's good, man.
depends
It's good.
on what I'm doing for the client because if I'm also doing video and photo at the same time and it's just me, there'll be less photos
Mm.
because I'm also putting some of my attention into videos. Um, a lot of the time, most of a wedding day, if I'm doing photo and video, I'll have a camera doing video in my left hand and photos in my right hand, and I can like rotate different orientations.
Wait, so
Sometimes,
you do photography and videography at once?
yeah. So I
Bloody
do.
hell,
So
man! How do you do that?
I used to do.
Oh,
I
crazy.
used to have
Yeah,
obviously two cameras on
yeah,
me,
yeah,
and I would have one, and I'd just be taking photos,
yeah.
switch over to video,
Video,
take
yeah.
photos, switch back and forth. But I found that if
Hats
you
off to
just
you, man.
get a good composition and you
Yeah.
find a good way to stand and you can stabilize the cameras fairly well. I
Mm.
have similar focal lengths on my lenses. So I have like a 24 to 70 on one and a 51.2 on the other. So the 51.2 is going to be my photo camera
Yeah.
because I've got it on my higher resolution camera. 45 megapixels, I can crop in and crop out a
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
more from 50, which means I can obviously get closer to like the 85 look. Being at 1.2 a lot of the time, even if I do crop in, it's still a bit of that like blurry
Yeah.
background that you get, which is nice. And then I'll have my video camera, which is in my left hand with the 24 to 70, somewhere between 35 millimeters and maybe 75 millimeters well, can't go to 75, but somewhere between 35 and 70, I'll have my video. And then that means that when I have the cameras right next to each other, whatever I'm seeing in the photo camera is pretty much what's happening in video. And I just make sure that I'm moving my photo camera and video camera pretty much the exact same way so that all of the photos are a very similar frame to the video and it doesn't weird me out. I used to have 35-85 and 35 was video, 85 was photo. But then if the couple got too close to me, it was good for the video, but not so much for the photo. I can't quickly move back if I've got the video because then it's just going to be shaky everywhere. So I find it's really about finding a good versatile spot to stand for all of the moments during the day, setting up both at a similar focal length so that if I do have to move or change, I'm not having to try and figure out with my brain why the two images on both cameras are looking so different. And something I actually did recently, I've had so many couples book photo and video together because I actually offer it at it's a pretty competitive price, I would say. And it's not that much extra effort on the day because I'm just holding two things instead of one thing. I had a couple recently, just in the last week, have their wedding, which was photo only, and it was no video. And it was one of my first photo only weddings in a while. And I had my same two cameras with me. So what I decided to do was have my photo video set up, but they were both on photos. I was holding my normally video camera in my left hand at about 35 millimeters and my photo camera at 50 millimeters, but they were both on photo. So I had one doing landscape photos, pressing the shutter with my left hand like this, and then my right hand was taking photos on the 50 mil. So I had both landscape and portrait at the same time.
Is there a reel?
I don't know if I do that again.
Is there a reel?
It was a bit weird.
You didn't record this, man.
For like the first look and for the ceremony. If it wasn't for, because obviously you can just change cameras, but for like the one-off moments where I didn't really want to just wait to change cameras between the two, I can just capture the same moment at two different focal lengths in two different orientations at the same time. And if you have good cameras, the autofocus will be fine.
Yeah.
If the composition is a tiny bit off, you can fix it, which is again why you've got to stand in a good spot and make sure you're in a versatile spot so that you can move. And the worst thing that could happen is if something moves unexpectedly, you can just put one camera down. It's fine. And then focus on the main one.
Man, I want to say
was that the question you asked me? I feel like I went off topic.
You must be the only wedding photographer that shoots like that.
No.
Have you? Okay, you learned it from someone else, actually.
Yeah. So Josh was like, "Oh, just do photo," because I used to, as I said, just have one camera and I would switch between.
But Josh was recommending to hold. Okay,
I'm gonna give you a demo.
Yeah, man, we need to see it. I was gonna pull up an Instagram video or something, guys. That's crazy stuff. Hats off to Tony and Josh for bloody holding the cameras around all day like that. My wrist will probably fall off, to be honest.
All right.
All right, let's see, man.
So
yep.
Video camera.
Yep.
Photo camera, and I'll just hold it like this. Video camera's down here, photo camera's here, and I can just do this at the same time. If I'm doing photo like at the same time, two photos, I'll hold my left hand underneath like this, and then my right hand like that, and I can do portrait and landscape at the same time, pressing the shutter button, totally fine. Which sounds ridiculous. But it means that I don't have to worry about
well, you know what? You're making it
cameras.
work.
It's just
You're making it work.
It works. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it if I thought like it was on the edge of not working. In that case, I just focus on doing one or the other, or I'll set up a tripod for the video camera if it's very important and I think there's a risk of something going wrong. I won't risk a client's day or images or videos by doing something too crazy. But if I know that I can set myself up in a good spot, I'll happily just do that. And then it saves me swapping between and missing moments in between. I'm just kind of getting everything at the same time. It does make it a bit weird for the editing though, because my camera times are synced up. If I'm taking photos at the same time, so in between, they're very close together.
You're gonna have
I'll look at the photos in Lightroom and they'll be like alternating which camera and which photo from which camera. So it's not like a bunch on 50 and then it goes to like some 24 mil shots and then some 35 mil shots. It's like 50, 24, 50, 24, 50, 24, or whatever focal length I'm using, because they're so
hard to tie a narrative together when you have the images jumping around like that. You're gonna manually adjust it. That's really cool, man. Actually, and hats off to you for making that work, because that's not easy to do. Actually, I don't hybrid, to be honest, Antonio.
Sorry,
Single.
continue.
I'm like a single kind of stream kind of guy. But yeah, that's a pretty sophisticated technique. So just out of curiosity, like when you do offer that package, are you filming video on one camera, or are you filming video on a tripod camera as well, or is it like
So I also have a camera. So I have three main packages. I've got photo only, photo and video, and then myself and a videographer. And
cool?
what I tell couples is like the middle package, which is me doing everything on my own, is like a ton of effort for me. And if they're like, oh, why should we like pay you all this extra money to like hire a videographer if you can just do it both on your own? Like you just do everything yourself. I tell them that I'm like pushing the limits of what I can do. And it's like there's slightly less guarantees. I'd say it's like 80-95% quality at best if I'm doing both on my own. And they're happy to pay that because it's a little bit less. So they're paying for the result and also the experience as well, but they're sort of paying for the result in that they'll save a bit of money and they'll maybe get slightly lower quality because I'm splitting my attention between two jobs. And I tell the couples if they want 100% quality from both, then that's when it's me focusing on just photo or just video. And I've hired someone else who's also focusing on just photo or just video. But to answer your question, I'll have, for couples who book photo and video, I have usually a minimum of 3 cameras. The 2 on me, as I said, I've got one doing video, one doing photo, and I'll have another camera on a tripod for the ceremony and speeches if the couple have also got speeches that they're getting recorded. And I'll generally try, when I'm doing photo and video on my own, I'll try and clip my audio recorder to like the celebrant's PA system or some lav mics as well. I'll try and hide on the couple. I don't guarantee VOW or audio recording for the photo and video packages where I do everything myself. And I tell the couple that I'm like, can't guarantee it. I'll do my best to get it. If you want guaranteed, like all the photos, all the video, all the audio, that's what the top package is for. Otherwise, if you're happy for the compromises and the slightly lower price, it's actually not, it's like half the price to do me doing photo and video for everything.
Yeah, man,
That
that's
answer your question?
it did. That's a really interesting approach. I personally don't do it. I do offer.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of work. Reason being is it's a lot of work. I feel like as a wedding photographer on the day, like everyone's relying on you already enough, you know. Like when you're the wedding photographer.
Sorry, I'm just
yeah, man.
any
Questions? Read them out because unfortunately I can't see them at the moment. Yeah, we got anything in there?
Yeah, just some people asking about. We got Stuart asking if I've got any
Stuart?
videos showing me doing photo and video at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
I don't actually have any. Oh, I do. It's
You
not
do?
on my channel. There
Publish
actually
it.
there's
Story it.
there's like a month. I've got a month worth of behind the scenes on this thing, which has a whole heap of me doing both photo and video on 2 cameras at the same time on this.
Yeah.
I just have to put it onto my computer and put it online for you, Stuart. Who else have we got here?
Thanks for jumping in, Stuart. Really
Wayne?
appreciate that. Waynos, how you doing, Waynos? Thanks for jumping in, buddy.
Yeah, that's the thing. So with the photo video, Wayne, I try not to get the 2 mixed up. If I'm doing 2 cameras, I'll only do photo on one and only video on the other. I wouldn't like swap the cameras modes so that one sometimes does photo and sometimes does video, because then I would get it mixed up and I'll be trying to take photos while it's in video mode and vice versa.
Antonio, are you able to just read out the comments so we can clip it into the audio as well? Just because, yeah.
Yeah, sure thing. So Stuart said, Antonio, have you got any videos online showing you filming video and shooting photos at the same time on my channel? And Wayne says, no. I would get my hand mixed up and tilt the wrong camera. Good coordination. Yeah, that is the thing though. Yeah, I have. There is actually a video of me on my smaller account, Photography with Antonio, where I'm shooting photo and video at the same time, just on one camera, and I'm swapping between, and I'm doing photo, changing orientations, swap to video, and I accidentally film part of the wedding video in portrait orientation, and I like try and smoothly transition into like a horizontal
that's
layout.
what I do as well, man. Whenever I do hybrid shooting, I will always stuff up that vertical to horizontal orientation. Which is why I stopped, because I was making mistakes a lot of the time. And obviously, yeah, you're very transparent with your couples, and you do say to them, we don't guarantee the audio recording, and that's what they're looking for. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I personally don't offer it because I don't want to provide a service that could potentially miss out on something like the vows or those moments. So I only do so my packages are a little bit different. I do photo and video and then photography only. I don't do the hybrid shooting. And if soon as I bring the videographer in, there's always going to be three people on site. I don't work with one person on both because I guess I'm fearful that I'm going to
Yeah,
miss
yeah.
something really important. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the same thing when I do, because I also, when I'm doing photo and video, I've also got a third camera on a strap, like just hanging, and that's my film camera. And I'll be, not always, but a lot of couples will get like film added on, or sometimes
Yeah, man.
I'll include it as like a bit of a deal
how are
if
you how
they're
are you
like,
managing all this in your head throughout a wedding day, and then also having that pressure on you being a wedding photographer? Because as a wedding photographer, that's what I was going to say, is that I find that there's so much pressure on you already because everyone's like looking at you right throughout the day for the timeline,
yeah,
where we need to be,
they
what we need
are.
to do, how we're going to pose, and then if you're adding like photography and then videography on top of that,
And then
it's like a heart
the
attack.
film.
And
So
then the film as well, yeah.
I make sure to have like heaps of buffer times. I tell my couples
Yeah,
that it's
okay.
best to have a lot of buffer time before all of your guests. I mean, you have buffer time for everything in the day, but you have a bunch before all of the guests arrive, like during preparations and first looks, because then your guests aren't there to experience the delay of all the buffer time. They just show up, there's the ceremony, there's the food. You still have buffer times for after the ceremony, but less because you don't want your guests to have to experience the delay of all the buffer times. And
Hmm.
all of those big buffer times in the beginning of the day make it way easier and less stressful for me and also the couple because there's more time to get everything set up. And I tell them that if I'm doing video, I 100% need to be at the ceremony location at least 30 minutes before the bride's due to walk down the aisle. Because if I'm not, I don't have time to set up audio, I don't have
Yeah.
time to set up tripods, and I basically make my whole timeline around two or
Yeah.
three anchor points,
Yeah.
which is ceremony start time, makeup finish time for the girls, and like sunset time is kind of like where I anchor my schedules around.
Yeah,
And
this
I send that to the
ceremonies.
couple
Yeah.
as soon as possible, which I mean everyone does.
Ceremony is super important, eh? And I do the same thing. I generally try and give 45 minutes because of buffer room. I really like that, man, because you need the buffer room. If you don't have the buffer room, then things go wrong and things get delayed. Then you can get stuck. That's
I
where things can go
reckon
wrong.
most
Yeah,
weddings I do, the buffer is all used up. Every single time the buffer's used up. And then also after the
definitely.
ceremony, couples always want more time to chill and
Wanna
relax more than
wanna
they
relax. Yeah,
realize. A lot of them say things
absolutely.
like, "Oh, we don't want any buffer. We don't want any breaks. We'll just
That
go straight from the ceremony
yeah.
into like the couple portraits, straight to the reception." And then as soon as their ceremony is finished, they end up pushing everything back because they want that time. So I always recommend extra time.
That's exactly
Um,
right. Pretty much every couple that I work with always want to break throughout the day, and that's my biggest recommendation now as well, right, Antonio? Is that how do you want the day to flow? If you want the day to be really stressful and really packed, and you don't want to have any time to relax, then yeah, go. You can book the shortest time frame. But my recommendation would be don't do that. It's your wedding; it's a once in a lifetime experience, right?
Yeah, I
Make
also
sure.
tell people they can do whatever they want, and if I tell them something that I recommend, they can just totally go against it, as long as I tell
Yeah,
them that
that's
it
right.
may, depending on what I'm doing, if it's just me or if I'm doing photo or video or film photos as well, where things could go less or where things are sacrificed. Um,
Yeah,
basically. But
I
so
think I
yeah, that's
think
how I manage with doing both is having a good timeline and a good structure and being very I'm not strict with the couples on the time. I sort of check with them throughout the day. I'm like, hey,
yeah.
what's are you happy for this to start happening now, or do you want a little bit more time for this? But yeah, that's generally what I do.
Absolutely, man. Being client centric is so important for weddings. I think service comes first, photos come second, in my opinion. That's kind of how I think about it, at least.
Yeah,
We need
definitely service
we need to
first.
provide the service, right? And we need to make sure that our
Yeah,
couples feel comfortable. We're checking in with them throughout the day because that's super important as well, man. If you're not checking in with them and things going differently, they might not want to get your photos, and then all of a sudden you're providing bad service, and then the photos don't even matter if
exactly.
you produce amazing work. So yeah, no,
Exactly.
good stuff, man. Looks like you're doing really good stuff in the wedding space. You're a Sony shooter, eh?
No, I
No.
shoot Nikon. This is a
Oh, that's right.
Z8,
You're
and
yeah.
I got the new ZR here as well.
How's that,
I shot
man?
a wedding, right? I shot this is the ZR, tiny little camera. It basically does the same specs that the Z8 does for what I use it for.
So this
The Z8 does more,
it's
but
got a red sensor in there, doesn't it? Is that
yeah,
the
yeah. So it's a, I mean, it's a it's a Z6 III sensor, but it's got red codecs in it, which are way too big. So I filmed, I did like a engagement session, and
how
I
big are
got
we
one of
talking? Yeah,
my behind the scenes people to film the behind the scenes for me using the ZR.
yeah.
It was a 30-minute video, 30 minutes, 340 gigabytes.
It's
Not doing that
huge.
again.
Yeah,
That's
it's
too
huge,
much.
man. That's
But
huge.
I did shoot an entire wedding on a few cameras, but this was my main like A cam that I had for the entire wedding day, which was just on Monday, video only. And this thing was so good, man. It like 32-bit audio. I don't have to monitor audio levels because it's got such good dynamic range. I don't have to worry about the exposure as much as if I used a lot of other cameras. It just powered through the day. I took maybe, I don't know, maybe 250 gigabytes just on this camera for the whole day. Just in video in like 10-bit log, not the red spec because it would be friggin' terabytes if I did. And because it's so small, the screen's so big, this thing was just it. I'm really impressed with it. Didn't overheat once, didn't have to change memory cards. I think I changed batteries like twice. Got halfway through the third battery. It just went through the whole day and it was like hot and sunny.
So
I'm really excited to share the
that's the
footage
Z8,
from it
yeah.
on my
That's the
channels.
Z8.
It's good.
That's the Z8, yeah.
Well, no. So the Z8 is this big fat one here.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's
that
good.
was a ZR. That's a new Nikon camera. Gotcha.
New Nikon
Yeah,
camera,
yeah,
ZR
yeah.
small one. It's
Man, it's
very
the
good.
it's do you believe that cameras have kind of like plateaued in terms of image quality and the things that's holding them back is the storage solutions and storage?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's the storage because like with cameras these days, a lot of people are still using older cameras like DSLRs
yeah.
and like the older maybe like early mirrorless cameras and stuff, which
I use a camera from
I think the
2008 as well. Yeah, or 2018. Sorry. Definitely still viable
yeah.
in terms of quality. Yeah,
No, they're still good. Like you can get really good image quality. I think with new cameras, the main benefit is the it's going to be like dynamic range and autofocus speeds and low light
yeah.
performance are
I
probably your three main things that you get from getting a new camera.
definitely
Whereas
autofocus
the
is a
older
big one.
cameras, like I for my film photos, I use a 50-year-old camera, and that takes images sometimes that I think I'm surprised at how good they look for such an old camera shooting film. Um, but it's that's why I think like it's not so much the gear. We can probably talk about this later. I don't think it's so much the gear, unless you need good dynamic range, good autofocus, and good low light performance. Other than those things, it's not really the gear that holds you back. Because in ideal scenarios, let's say like a studio environment, or you've got really good lighting or very controlled lighting, you could use any camera from any time period and get a good photo
So,
to
what do you
some
think
extent.
holds photographers back mostly?
I think it's I mean, there's two ways. There's photographers holding that think there's something that holds photographers back from taking good photos. There's things that hold photographers back from giving a client a good experience, and then there's also things that hold photographers back from having like a good running business.
Let's
So
go
there's like
down.
kind of three.
Let's go down the image kind of quality route, I guess. And we'll say
Image
that.
quality.
Yeah, say or image style, image aesthetic, the way an image looks. Like, what do you believe is the most inhibiting thing to new photographers coming into the space and like wanting to get into wedding photography? Like, what holds them back usually from what
I
you've
think
seen?
this sounds really annoying, but I think it's just practice. Because I remember when I first started, I took photos and I was like, these are so good. They were shit. They were not good. I look back at some of the old photos I take and I was like, what am
That's
I
good, but
doing with the
that means you're
camera?
improving. That means you're improving. That's what it's all about, man. I took my first photo when I was 14 years old on a DSLR, or 13 or 14, and yeah, I still look at it sometimes. That first series I did on environmental catastrophes and stuff, and I was just like rubbish in the bloody ground. I'm like, these photos are horrible, and it wasn't very good, and kind of developed over time. And that's right. I think you need to find a passion first. Like you need to find a passion. You need to find a love for photography if you really want to get into it and get good, because it is one of those things as an art, right? And when people are doing it as an art, you're going to be competing with people who love it, like like yourself and Tony. You like, I would even want to guess the amount of hours you've put into learning photography. Probably do learn into learning photography every week, man. I know that
It's
I
all
spend a lot.
YouTube, or not all YouTube. It's a lot of initially it was
Well, it's also dedication and motivation and time and effort
yeah,
and and passion.
but like I never did any. I don't have any photography degrees. I never went to any like TAFE courses for it. I
Look,
just
I
because I
did,
feel
and
like
I'm gonna tell you right now that I don't think you really need it, man. And I think there's a
well, it
benefit to
depends on the
university.
person though,
Depends on the person,
because some
and this,
people
yeah.
learn better in a classroom environment, and some people can learn better with their own resources. I think it just depends on the person. I personally think anything that you want to learn, you probably could learn for free online somewhere. And that's why I make a lot of videos to sort of
Mm.
help educate people and depends on what I'm feeling like making videos about. But yeah,
I think there's a lot of problems with university as a whole, which I won't get into too much. But I definitely think, yeah, if anyone's watching who's like new to photography, wanting to come into it, I definitely don't think you need a university degree, because a lot of people like are thinking, should I go to university or not? And a lot of people feel forced. I think. Do you get that sense? Like, yeah,
they
I don't
do.
I
A
don't think
lot
you
of
need it.
people I
Yeah,
talk to, I get heaps of DMs from people who want to start learning photography, and their
yeah,
first instinct is to go and get some kind of photography
degree.
qualification. And they're told by their photography teacher that they have to go and get a DSLR from 2011, otherwise they're not allowed to do this photography degree. And it's like, well, you should be able to use, if it takes a photo, technically you could use anything. I get that sometimes you need, at least at a minimum, a camera that you can control, like your ISO, shutter speed, and
But
aperture.
you just summarized it,
Um,
man, really well. I think that's a really good statement. Because yeah, like you said, they encourage you to use these old fashioned techniques from 2011 and stuff, and it's because the university is generally outdated in a lot of the ways, which is
mm,
why people coming into the space of photography and doing it in the here and now and are providing courses and educational seminars. You're getting real world experience, and it's a different
mm.
type of learning. And I don't think you like university. Yes, it's a great place to go to like explore and experience things, but I think there's a lot of kind of structural problems. I know it's a
There
jerky
is.
word, but
The other
it's
thing
the
too, you
reality
can
of
look
it.
at it from like a history of photography and learning and stuff like that, is when photos were first happening, like in the 1800s and 1900s. You look at wedding photos or just photos in general from earlier time periods. A lot of them were very similar. Like
Mm,
there's obviously some outliers, but like if you look at wedding photos from the 1900s, they're all the same. They're all
mm.
got very similar things. You look at photos today and they're so different. You can go to like six different Instagram pages and they're going to be so different in the styles.
Do
So
you
I
think
think the
that's
best
because
way to
of
learn
the
photography is pick
technology?
someone that you like and follow that.
Do you think that's
Sorry,
because
what
of
did you
the
say?
do you think that's because of the technology allowing people to kind of explore more and do more things?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that and people feeling less pressured to go and get a structured degree that teaches them to shoot in a specific way. I think it's really just up to what you like the look of it and following that.
So your advice would be to find a role model and aspire to their images and work out how do they produce those photos.
Yeah, that's actually, there's a photographer based on the Sunshine Coast near me. His name's Luke Middlemiss. Luke Middlemiss Photography, I think, is his Instagram. He was one of the first wedding photographers that I was exposed to their images. That I followed him on Instagram because we met like a couple years before I started doing wedding photography, and I would see his photos, and there was something about them that looked. It was, I suppose you could say, it was like cinematic or like natural or like more real feeling than a lot of the stereotypes of wedding photography that I thought.
Mm.
And I never really wanted to get into wedding photography. I just thought like, oh, he's got some cool photos. And then when I did start getting into wedding photography and couple photography, I used a lot of his style as an influence because I thought it was really good and I hadn't seen anything like that before. Um,
What
yeah,
was
that's what I think.
what is it about that, man, that caught you? Like what in like so we'll come back to gear, and I'm going to circle this back to gear, but like what makes a good photograph in your opinion then? So like obviously you were drawn to that cinematic look, the natural look. Look, I personally believe that wedding photography is the best when you make it appear natural. It has that natural feeling. Like you can still pose and you can still construct a scene, but I think if you kind of shoot around it, if that makes sense, and not be too static, like the traditional wedding photos where you stand here, you put your hand here. Like if you kind of keep the movement, you can get those really authentic images within the kind of pose. So yeah, that's kind of how I think about photography, and I think that's personally for me what makes an image go from something that's like just a photo that looks pretty to a photo that like feels and also looks really really good. Like it has that feeling to it where you've captured a moment in time and you're documenting that, but you're doing it in a very artistic way. So yeah, I don't know, like is there anything in like your mind that like makes a good photograph?
I think it's a moment that's captured. Something that you can't. My favorite things is when you capture a moment. I sound like such a stereotypical photographer saying this, but if you capture a moment that you can't replicate if you tried,
Mm.
that's something that I, even if it's the composition's not good. Like
I
there's a lot of
once
photographers that ask the question. I've seen it online. They'll say something like, "What's better, capturing the moment or carefully composing your image?" Ideally, both.
Yes.
But if I had to choose one, I'd rather capture a moment than get like the stereotypical, like really perfectly composed, everything's like symmetrical. I do love those photos. I think they look great and they do have their place, but I would rather
Yep.
fill a wedding day with more of those one-off moments that can't be recreated even if you tried.
Yep. I agree.
It just feels really full. You
Yep.
look at the photo and you can there's there's a story in it. There's context about what's happening that led up to that moment in the photo. There's different feelings or emotions, and then of course you've got the editing and the lighting and stuff like that. I think lighting is a huge part in the aesthetic of it, but obviously it's subjective. You can have whatever lighting you want. Um, but I think if you have an image that is a moment that is captured that you can't recreate in good lighting, that's all I'm here for. That's what I want.
I think you've nailed it, man. I agree. I think moment is definitely the thing that kind of takes precedent over everything else when it really comes down to the core of what you're doing as a photographer. I think you can kind of get through and have a good photography career if you're really just focusing on moments, and you're not really even worrying
Mm,
about your aesthetic or your image quality so much.
mm,
Like you can get quite far in wedding photography if you are a good candid and documentary photographer. But I think
exactly.
it's a combination for me. When you see those photographers that seem to get that moment, but they do it in that way where the lighting is like optimal and really nice, and you get that combination of the two, and you have aesthetic and then feeling, and when you tie that all together, and then have your editing process and the color grade, I think that's when like real magic starts in photography. So yeah,
Mm,
that's what I've been really trying to work out is how can I make sure like I can really craft these photos with beautiful lighting but really still get that moment through. And
mm.
that's a big challenge because it's not easy to do.
A really good example that I've seen of like capturing a moment versus like the carefully composing. I'd say carefully composing would be like you see like this. I'll use a wedding as an example. You've got like the first kiss down the middle of the aisle shot where like it's symmetrical, the couple's kissing in the middle, and everyone has time, ideally, to get a good composition of that moment.
Mm,
But then there's other things I saw. I can't remember which photographer this was, but I saw the photo and it was one of the best photos I've ever seen. It was taken from the perspective of sort of third person behind the groom waiting at the aisle for the bride to walk down. The bride has started walking down the aisle, but instead of the photographer taking a photo of the bride in that moment or the groom's reaction in that moment, the photographer chose to focus on the guests in the crowd. And it was the mother of the groom sitting there. Everybody else in the crowd was looking back at the
mm,
bride walking down the aisle, but the mother was looking up at her son, the groom,
yeah.
and she was crying, looking at him, looking at her bride, well, looking at his bride. And that moment, I
It's a
thought, just like,
beautiful
wow,
moment, man.
you can't recreate that.
No, you can't, and that's that documentary side to the photography. I think and that's
Mm,
something that I did photojournalism for a long time, and when you really find those little moments and you capture those, man, yeah, that's something special. Yeah, and I think yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and you're freezing a moment of time. I think another really good example, so great example, Antonio. One that sparked something in my mind from photographers that I had on the podcast. Some really great photographers, Tyler Brown and James Simmons, Eric Sandstrom. They all shoot in a very similar way. They're really renowned photographers in Perth, West Australia. Tyler Brown summarized it really well, where he says what he's trying to do during a portrait session is get down to the essence of a person. So he's really trying to bring out
mm,
that natural and authentic presentations of themselves, and they're not trying to make it static. So yes, you can obviously have that documentary approach, but I think authenticity can also tie into things like the portrait session, right, where it is a little bit more
mm,
staged, and maybe the job as a photographer is to kind of come down to the core of who the person is and show that through the images.
hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
I really like in the portrait session, like there's obviously every photographer has their own set of images that they like try and take for every couple. One that I always try and get is like just the standard classic traditional bride and groom standing, just looking at the camera, maybe a smile. That's it. Just because it's a bit of a paying respects, I suppose, to the old ways of wedding photography where they had those huge like medium format cameras that
Yeah.
put the sheet over their head and then
Yeah.
because that was the only photo they could take. That was the only photo that was practical for them to take. And then there was a period where people stopped taking that. I like to get at least one photo where
I
it's like looking
I
right at
like
the
I like to
camera,
get both as
just the
well.
standard.
I like to get both as well, man. So like I'm a big proponent of off camera flash. So I use a lot of off camera flash in my work, and I always try and get one of those photos. A little bit more post, a little bit more stage. Yeah. So definitely, I think there's a benefit to having both, right? So yeah, to bring it all the way back to gear. So does
Yeah.
gear matter? I would say yes, gear absolutely matters. Like I think we or both feel like I think cameras are starting to plateau a little bit though, and I think
Yeah,
personally
yeah.
Personally, what I think is that AF autofocus is the new thing that's really progressing, and that's allowing us to shoot in so many different ways. Like, eye detection AF. When I do a portrait session now, and this also ties back to how many photos you should take in a wedding, rather than having that staged approach where I'm like posing it and then taking it. Yes, we still do that, but a lot of the photos I take during the portrait session, where we might be doing something like trying to come to the essence of the couple and capture that connection between them. I'm shooting a lot of photos, and I'm shooting around poses. So we're giving, I think what's going online at the moment is they're giving prompts, not poses. So you're prompting them to do something and then kind of move, and you
that's
capture
my
around
go-to,
that.
because it works for both photo and video then. And if I'm doing both, I can get both at the same time for
There you
photo
go.
and video.
Hybrid. Smart.
Yeah.
I think it's the best way to shoot, man. Like if you're able to make your couple feel comfortable, and then you're able to give them that direction, and then they pose around that, and you get those moments. That's really, really cool stuff. But the autofocus and the capabilities of cameras are what allowing us to kind of get to that point, because on your film camera, capturing that perfect little look between a couple is almost impossible if you can't have pinpoint
You got to be ready.
focus.
If you're not ready, it's or unless you're like at f11 or something.
But even then,
really
man,
bright.
you have one shot. Like now, I don't even use my mirror anymore. My Canon R5 II. I use entirely silent shutter function. Mirrorless shutter function. So I'm literally just going 4 or 5 frames a second. I have it set to, and that's kind of what I'm taking. And during a moment, I'll take it like a video, and I'll just shoot the whole thing, and I'll have like 100 photos from it. Then I go back and pick the best one. I think that's how you really get those moments, So
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like people say it's spray and pray, but you're kind of like, it's a calculated spray and pray.
It's not spray and pray.
Like you're predicting something to happen. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to have to tell the couple to re-prompt them and just make it feel more fake.
I think
a bunch, get the one out of the batch later that you want.
But I think what you're doing, Antonio, and what I'm doing, what a lot of photographers are doing is they're predicting that moment is going to be fleeting. You're not going to see it, So like that's what we're actually doing. We're capturing like these in between moments that you don't usually notice, and I think that's what's really pushing a lot of photography at the moment. So we're pushing my photography at least, and so I definitely think that's kind of where gear has kind of pushed us to in terms of the technology in the last like 5 years or so. It's all this candid photography.
Photos getting better, videos getting better in non-professional cameras too, like smartphones and things like that. I sort of think that the only real thing that pro cameras like these will have over smartphones eventually is going to be just reliability.
Interesting.
So maybe like the burst rate potentially of if you like high speed stuff, and like really niche things like ultra wide lenses or ultra macro lenses or ultra telephoto lenses. Other than that, like your 24 to 70 range that you'd get on like a pro modern camera, I think in 5 years time is going to be, it's the only thing it will have as an edge over smartphones is going to be like, it's just got really good reliability and maybe a bit more, maybe not even color depth, maybe just the larger sensors for better low light performance.
What about
but even then,
sensor
eventually
size?
phones were going to have good light, like as good as what we have now for low light performance, I think.
Interesting. Maybe not. Well, I
don't want it to happen, but like if
it might happen. Yeah, it could happen. Yeah.
Smartphones eventually they reach this point where it's as good as the cameras we're using today, right now.
Hypothetically.
Like, what would stop us from just swapping over to
phones.
a smartphone and putting our mirrorless camera on the shelf and just taking a phone to a wedding? I think it would just be the reliability. Like we've got the dual backup recording of the cards.
Yeah.
You've got faster control of settings. I think that's the main thing. But other than that, you could take a photo on a smartphone, maybe an iPhone 17 or something, get good lighting, good composition, and a good moment and good editing. It would look similar if you use the same settings on a big camera.
I think in certain scenarios it will. I think in certain scenarios it looks better. I think the software behind like a lot of iPhone cameras and stuff is really, really good at the moment.
They've also got like that AI stuff that happens, like computational stuff that happens in your phones, but not in these cameras. This is very much so like just a raw image, whereas the phones are like kind of pre-processed a lot.
I'm not too sure. I'm a bit on the edge because I can see that eventually taking over and coming in. Will it ever replace DSLR or mirrorless? Maybe not. I don't know. I really don't know. It's too hard.
I don't think it'll fully replace it.
It's just moving so fast at the moment, man. Like AI and everything, you just don't know where it's going to go. It's very scary. scary. But yeah, like film photography is still around. You know, that's a really interesting point. You know, that's having a revival and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
I bought like 5 film cameras in the
There's so
last
much
6
fun,
months,
man.
and
Yeah, there's so much
they're
fun.
fun to shoot on. I enjoy it because it feels like it's more of a hobby within a job.
Yeah,
Because I started obviously as a hobby and then it became a job.
yeah,
And then I bought the film cameras and I was kind of learning this new thing, taking film to labs, developing all that stuff, looking at the photos you get that you can't see during the day. It's kind of like this nice hobby within the job, I'd say, is the film photography. So
I
I love
I
when
love it
couples
as
book me
well.
for
Yeah.
film. Sometimes though, like for an engagement session or something, I'll just bring a film camera along for fun, even if the couple haven't like paid extra for it.
Oh,
I'll
good.
just bring it. If I'm testing a film camera, I'll
Yeah,
bring it along, take some photos on it. That's fun.
yeah, nice. Um, I shoot film for fun. I don't shoot film professionally. I I think film slows things down a little bit, right? And it just makes you
It
like
does.
appreciate finding the moments and like capturing that one pinpoint photo, which is
That
like it probably contradicts my last point about like taking a lot of photos, but there's a massive benefit to that, eh? Like like being
yeah.
able to slow things down and just like see it. I think that's a big part of good photography as well.
That's the other thing with the film photos. I only started this year with film. Beginning of this year, January, I got my first film camera. And after about 3 months of using film a lot more, my photo counts on my digital cameras for jobs were like halved.
Yeah,
I went from, like I said, like taking
yeah.
10,000 photos for a wedding to now 5,000. And now sometimes less depending on what's happening. But yeah, I find that film is nice. It sort of brings you back into the
It
moment.
slows things down, man. Yeah, there's definitely a time and place for it. I think yeah, you obviously yeah with the modern shooting ways you can't always have film, but I definitely think yeah if you kind of shoot film, you will learn when it's acceptable to shoot in that way of kind of just getting that one frame, if that makes sense, and then you know you
Exactly.
won't overshoot and you'll use
Exactly.
high burst modes strategically, and yeah, I think
Yeah. I mean,
that's the
you've
main
got
thing.
probably like 40 photos maximum on a film camera, and
Yeah, it's
then a
so
lot of them will
crazy.
give you
Yeah,
36 or 24. The
yeah.
cameras I've bought recently will take 15 or 12 at a maximum, which is
Wow,
not much for a
that's
wedding
nothing,
day, but
man.
the images that you can get from them they have a look to them
They
that
do.
you can't quite get on digital. You can get it pretty close, but not quite.
It doesn't have that magic. What's harder, photo or video? Then, if you're kind of like doing one or the other, what do you
Video.
think?
So
Video is harder.
I video is harder
I
because
think
with
photography is harder,
photos,
by the way.
with video, you have to take your frame, but
Yeah,
then it keeps going. You can't just like take a photo and then you're done. You have to hold the frame. You have
but
to
doesn't
make
that
sure the
make it easier?
composition looks good throughout. Because you could take a video that's like a terrible video because there's like random stuff showing up in the frame. Maybe it's too shaky. Maybe the lighting changes. So you have to sort of be more predictive of not just when you take the photo, but what's happening in the seconds after you've started recording. And then you've got to make it a sequence, and you've also got audio to worry about.
Yeah,
The file sizes are bigger. You editing is a lot slower because
yeah,
you have to watch it all over and over each time you make a change to it.
yeah,
I don't like I like watching the edited videos that I've edited.
yeah.
I don't like editing the
It's a
videos
long
when I'm
process,
doing
eh?
it.
Yeah. Let's
Photos for me
we'll
though,
bring
I
it back
feel
for a
like that's
second, my
easier
man. Before
because
we yeah
it's,
yeah
I mean, maybe just because I've done it so much more. If I do photo only for a wedding and no video at all, I feel like I almost feel naked if I'm just doing photo only. I'm like, oh, I've got all this extra time. I'm not worrying about video. This is easy. It's
yeah.
fun.
You
Um,
pushed the limits, man, and now you're going back and you're you're only doing
I'm
photography.
like,
It's like big piece of cake,
photos are good.
man. I'm the same actually. When I've been doing photo and video, then usually I'm used to having like just a terabyte of data, and then I do photography only, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like 100 gigabytes.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
different. Oh, I rambled. I believe photography is harder actually, because so you mentioned that video you get like the movement, yeah. So you have like multiple frames, and you need to think about like the seconds after.
Yeah, so
Oh, let's
and
just bring
I
in the audience
something I
question.
always used to do whenever I was filming video was I was always not filming for long enough. I'd take a clip and then I'd be like, cool, that's good. It'd be like 2 or 3 seconds long. But then I just wanted a little bit more before or a little bit after because I'm
Mm.
used to photos where I can take one single frame and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas videos, you need more than what you think.
You do,
So you
yeah.
have room to trim and cut and move around and you've got to
I
think about frame rates and if there's any lights that might be flickering, what settings to use and stuff like that.
I think that the technicalities and the process behind video is harder, but I think the capturing of the moment is easier on video, because video you do get that window of like, you know, movement, so you're capturing things for like prolonged periods of time, where like a photograph is a single frame from that like movie, if that makes sense. So like that photograph needs to be pinpoint perfect and really have that feeling.
It does.
So
photos. I think there's more room for editing photos as well, because you generally have more data in an
heaps
image.
more data,
So
more data.
you can save it much easier than you can with a video. And then you need more processing power as well to be editing video, because if you're doing heaps of masks and layers and coloring and tracking and all that stuff, it's a lot of stuff going on. Stuart just asked another question in
What's
our
up,
group.
Stuart?
He said, "Hey guys,
Thanks,
who's
mate.
your favorite Aussie wedding photographer? I just met Tom Hall in Brisbane and his work was amazing. Plus, it was really good to see the way he interacts with people." Who's your favorite photographer?
Locally,
James?
so I've had a lot of photographers locally. I'm still going to say locally in Perth, West Australia. I think James Simmons still takes that for me. I've been a fan of his work for a long time, like many other people have, and it's just got that Perth, West Australian feeling. I think he's really like contributed to a distinct style from West Oz. So I really like his work. So go check him out. He's on Instagram, and he's doing really, really good stuff still.
I like locally. Obviously, I said Luke Milnes. I love his work. I sort of changed between which ones I like. There's a guy still on the Sunshine Coast near me. His name's Cooper Brady. He takes some really good compositions, really artistic, good moments, I think. Very good photographer. He's a cool guy too. Otherwise, I think overall, Australia.
I really like Susan. Susan. I don't know. I forget her last name. Susan something. She's from New York City. Her flash photography works really, really amazing.
There's a lot of international photographers I've seen, and I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Like there's like the stereotypical, like everyone's favorite international photographer, like what's that guy who shoots all the like celebrity weddings? Can't remember his name.
Yeah. It's so hard
Jose
nowadays
Villa.
because there's so many there's so many people, man. There's so many people that we follow all the time on Instagram. It's really hard to keep track and actually, when someone asks me like who's your favorite photographer, like I know a lot of photographers, but it's really hard to like in that moment actually like pull someone out because I'm like following so many different photographers that are really amazing.
I find when I'm scrolling Instagram, I'll be reminded of a photographer that I haven't seen in a while. Yeah. I think they're my favorite.
And that's why it's so important to be on Instagram now. I'm always being in front of people, right? And because we got goldfish brains with attention spans of 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. What's our next topic we're going to talk about? I feel like we've been rambling a bunch.
We should cut it off. We've been going for almost an hour, my man, and I realized it's approaching your next appointment. So that was a really fun conversation. I think we would keep going, Antonio, and then just kind of ramble on the entire time.
We would be rambling.
It does get a little bit tricky on video, but if you're ever in Perth, man, we'd love to have you in the studio, and you can.
I think I have a Western Australia wedding in I think April next year from the top of my head.
There you go, man.
But I can't remember if it's just like a lead or an actual booking.
Yep.
But I vaguely remember something about Western Australia in April.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, you'll really love it in person. It just takes that like nerves out a little bit as well.
You know what's cool about Perth is you get the sunset over the ocean at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do. It's absolutely
You don't
amazing.
get that here. It's sunrise only on the beach here.
Yeah, that's right. It's it's really beautiful, man. Perth, West Australia, definitely rate it as a place to live. If you visit, man, we'll have you in sometime. But so everyone, that was the JD Photo Podcast with Antonio Pics. Like always, this episode is supported by Rode. So Rode do really phenomenal gear. I use all of their stuff for weddings. I've been using the Rodecaster video for a while now as well, and I am happy to say that it is actually absolutely phenomenal device. So go check that out as well. It's what I've been using to stream this to Instagram. We're going to wrap it up, guys, because we've been going for an hour. That was a really fun conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed that, Antonio. I love just coming on and just like rambling stuff. So really awesome to have you in, man. And we'll wrap it up. So peace out, everyone. Thanks so much for watching.